Hello, welcome to Down with Dragons here on Monsters of Roll. Let's hear it for that new intro we got. Good job, Chris.
Yes.
Amazing.
Thank you
Nice.
for everybody getting your pictures together in front of a brick
Eventually.
wall. That was cool.
And the multiple versions. 'Cause, a precedent was set of the quality, and so we all had to go with it. So, yeah. So I guess, as you already saw, I am DM Scott. With me, as always,
Lillian and Camille, apparently, playing Maven Corpse Flower. Come on, a circle of spores druid. That
Druid.
I'm gonna put it. Okay, are you happy? I yeeted her. A circle of spores druid that is very invested in finding some Dragon's Bane weapons and finally kicking Queen Zorba in the nards.
And Mick playing Holliver, the worm, a gnomish relic hunter who has just found himself in the company of the remnants of the team.
And Chris playing Viet, a traumatized ranger barbarian dwarf named Viet. Yeah, he doesn't like being here.
And Catherine playing Juniper Swift, I guess a reluctant cleric.
I mean, you're not the most reluctant healer on the team.
Yeah. Hey, there's
are you
no
talking about?
evidence. No one in the team is present who saw what happened.
Yeah, none of you know I can do that.
Nope.
And I can't
So-
after we level up.
So, thank you all for joining us tonight. It'll be should be a exciting, fun episode. There won't be any trauma this time.
What?
Okay, that might have been a lie.
Well, forget this. We quit.
Yeah.
Brief announcements. Killian.
Yeah. Hi, friends, and welcome to another Down with Dragons episode. We have a Redbubble store that is linked down below. If you like this picture behind me, this picture behind Chris, and this picture behind Juniper, you can get all of those photos on literally any kind of thing you can imagine, except for bed sheets. I know, I'm working on it. There's some really cool stuff. We've got some logo stuff, some really cool merch. I just got Maven on a clock and she looks really badass, if I do say so myself. It's not done yet, but I'll bring it next week when it's done because I'm putting moss around it and twigs.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, it's going to be so cute. So if there's a Dungeons and Dragons lover in your life who wants a badass logo with a big old dragon on it and
There's
wants to support our
buttons.
channel, and there's buttons and mugs and laptop sleeve cases, the world is your oyster. And so is our Redbubble store. So go ahead and check it out in the link down below. Back to you.
Okay. Yeah. So, last time on Down with Dragons, the crew found themselves in a safer space, a lot less dry and itchy, and and still underground. And Viet has dealt with that, and some information was given, some exploration was done, deals were made, and the group traversed their way to the arcane repository. And along the way, they absolutely killed it, and just narrowly escaped some creepy thing that tried to grab Juniper's boots. But they have made it, and they made it to the arcane repository. And once they got there, the kind of illusionary image of the archive showed up and started telling them about this room. And we kind of, due to the time, kind of encapsulated that in a brief description. But joining now, the group has been there for a little bit. And we are now in that room with the archive still there, and it has been describing all of the items that were around the room. And the group has been kind of combing over both the fact of their narrow escape and also looking around this room, despite, or not despite, additionally, on top of what was already described, there is also many bookshelves that are like all of these tomes that are sealed in cases, and once pulled out, there are books inside, which I'm imagining Worm especially would have been quickly going over. And you'll definitely, over like, let's say the course of about 2-3 hours, so for sure a short rest if anybody would like one after that. But you've been uncovering, it's a lot of notations and personal notes and logs of things that have been researched. Some of it makes sense. Some of it is very like, I imagine if I actually knew what is being talked about, I'd know more. Roll me an intelligence check there, Worm.
Okay.
We're just going to dive right in.
All right. That's only a 10.
Okay. So yeah, this is going to take some time because as you go through some of these tomes, they definitely are talking about ongoing research. And so it's kind of one of those things of, even if you're like one of the brighter, like high school level, students, this is like PhD and bachelors and masters, kind of like they've been researching things. And so like, ooh, I know what that kind of means. But then there's all these other things where it's like, that's a lot of things I don't understand. And so it's definitely, a lot of it is talking about research done on physiology of dragons, of connections with stones, with things that are, as you're understanding, at least like magical within dragons that can be used for later research and purposes. Like, this is definitely a useful archive of physical tomes and books that is there, but it would take like gloriously a lifetime, maybe even to understand. But you've hit the mother lode of at least that part of the research just over this brief time. If you spent more time, because there are many other shelves that you like, this could have all of the answers,
Right. So, yeah, it's removed from me by not only many layers of complexity, but eons of time.
Yep. But you're definitely getting the sense that the civilization that made this city was so far past of like, I mean, you know what magic is. There are wizards, there are people who can do it. This is a civilization that understood how magic existed and could recreate it artificially.
Okay. The threads that I'll pull on, though, are all going to have to do with the dragons, because that's the most immediate concern for our world.
Yep. As Worm is going over all of this, Viet, I'm assuming you have been kind of going through things, and the one bag that was there that was kind of pointed out and just very quickly identified by even the archive when you kind of, everyone was looking at the different items that were there, offhandedly said, it's a bag of holding. You've at least heard of these. You maybe never have seen one, but you've heard of them. You've also heard of dangerous versions of them.
Yes, Viet would have totally warned everybody to stand back, flipped the table over, used his crowbar, extended it out to the 10-foot pole part, and start examining and prodding and poking at this bag. Because
Roll me an
he's
investigation check.
muttering about how, he lost his cousin Drib to something nasty that looked like this.
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
Totally paranoid about this thing. Let's see, investigation, you said.
Yes.
So that would be a dirty 1.
Oh,
Seems fine.
He'll go through all the tricks that he knows.
Okay.
Dropping
Yep.
something, checking if there's something in it, dropping something in. Time to stand back. Get ready. Juniper, get ready with your sword before he turns it upside down and tries to shake it out. Like he's got
We
a
will
backup.
save that for near the end, because as you're investigating that, the part of like
He's
the
going to go
worst
through all
parts
sorts
of
of
it,
stuff. Yes, dropping
Yeah,
a cracker into it. Yes,
with the dirty 1, I mean, it's not a failure, but it's just like, by the time you hit the point where you're like, all right, I don't think it's dangerous, and you get to that point of trying to empty it, that's where we'll come back. Maven,
Yeah.
what has Maven been doing? For the simple fact of, there's been research going on, there's been an inspecting of a bag that has a table as a barricade. There is a glowing illusionary projection of a kind of leonine white tigerish humanoid with armor and all that, just standing there looking blankly into space. What has Maven been doing for about 2-3 hours?
Maven is taking notes on locations of other Dragon's Bane weapons. That's the big one for her.
Okay.
So using the repository.
Talking to the archive, just like before, you are not getting a whole lot of extra information. It's talking about the fact of many of the scrying orbs in the city have been damaged over the years. This is one of the locations, and the other one that lines up still is the prototypical testing armory down low, much lower into the city. There are a few possible ones, and some of those might be along the way, but it's kind of one of those things where it's given like that probability of could be, with how outdated it is
Yeah. Okay.
1 in 100 at best,
Sure. No, I think I would just this whole time be doing, and it seems a little tedious, right? Doing the same search, but with similar keywords, right? And looking into stones. I mean, I know there are books there, but it's much faster to talk to a hologram. So that's what Maven's going to do.
Fair. No, absolutely. Roll me a investigation or a history check, seeing as you're just going back and forth with this thing.
Okay. Yeah, Maven knows how to go down an anxiety rabbit hole. She can do that.
You were
18.
a little distracted before. 18?
Mm-hmm.
Not bad. So shoot me 3 keywords that Maven would use.
Okay. Dragon, weakness, and stone.
I'll even let you just use those as 2. Dragon weakness, I'm guessing,
Cool.
and dragon stones. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And
keyword phrases, I guess, yeah.
one more as edge of the earth.
Edge of the earth, okay.
Yeah.
It would ask for more description on that.
Yeah, I'm looking
Please
for
refine
maps.
your search.
The farthest reaches of Karat that have been recorded.
Okay, perfect. So dragon weaknesses.
Yes.
It will go into a description of multiple dragons that have been encountered.
Okay.
All of them have a varied kind of resistances and vulnerabilities to, different elements depending on what they are.
Sure.
Overall, the main weakness that anything has been found is the Dragonbane weapons. Dragonbane weapons are an arcane weapon that has been made using many of dragon elements, dragon blood, dragon bone, and dragon teeth in a refining process that is used in the creation of the weapons that actually can strike true, deep, and all of that. And it will gesture towards the shelf that has a few of those on them, and even references to the one in your possession. Beyond that, throughout the city, there could be a varied amount that some of the former citizens of the city carried on them because they were made at the height of the conflict in large amounts.
Okay. So there's a lot of them.
At one time, absolutely. Like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep. They were making things to deal with them.
Okay.
As for the Dragon Stones, it actually gives you a different thing of like saying information is unknown due to the fact of the amount of years and where the last locations were known of the other cities. And it gives you a very vague, like even like the other one was very specific of like making a whole world with specific locations. This one is giving a very kind of generalized where like that one had a blip right here. This one's like a radius of like possible area.
Okay.
But they do coincide.
Are any of them like specific on each dragon?
It is unknown which ones are tied specifically because unless you get within proximity of them, you don't know if you have the one that aligns with that specific dragon.
Okay.
And then it does show at the heart of this city, it has a dragon stone.
Yeah, we're gonna go get that.
And then Edge of the World or with Karat Explored, it gives you a very detailed map of Karat 1600 years ago. And there are, and I can actually give that to all of you eventually, because I have to remake that file in real life because I have a corrupt file from a program from over 10 years ago, and I'm going to be remaking that. And hey, that might be a thing sold on Redbubble one day.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Right. But that is coming because yeah. But they're like, it's got indications of
Can we have little gravestones where we died each time?
I love it.
Hold on, I'm writing that down.
Oh my god.
I will make a version where it's like showing the path where you've gone and where the grave markers are.
Callan died here of dysentery.
Oh my gosh.
Oregon Trail.
Dissing yeah. Dissing
Terry?
somebody.
Dissing Terry? Who's Terry? Have we met Terry yet? Is he a tent too?
It sounds like something Callan would have done, though.
Zazazan's secret name. Terry.
Terry sounds like he had it coming. So
that's what his mother called him, you know. Now I just see an angsty teenager like, Terry, my name is Zazozan. Whatever, Terry. All right. So you get a version of Karat that is very different from what you're familiar with, because everyone's seen at least a vague map of Karat. It has the main cities, and it might have like locations of some of the river pathways with key locations and smaller town settlements and holds. This has like reference to dwarven holds. In some of the mountains, it has elven cities. It has gnomish settlements. It had like all the races of like your traditional fantasy settings where it's like every culture has their capitals and then they're kind of your melting pots and stuff like that. It has all of that before everything was erased. As you are aware that everything kind of disappeared before 1500 years ago.
Mhm. Okay.
So seeing something like the gnomish capital of legend, that would be something that gives Worm some pause for sure. Maybe distracts him from his studies. That's why he rolled the 10.
Yeah. If you want to write it
Totally
down.
not Viet yelling out to find the finger part.
Oh no, that's he's in the rhythm of that. He's got it. No problem. Filtering that out just fine at this point.
You do
Yeah.
get used to it after a while.
So
I haven't heard you talk about fingers for a while. I'm worried about you, Viet.
So that will be the references that is going on as Maven's doing her research and Worm's doing his and Viet's doing his investigation. Juniper, what are you doing?
Yeah. So the first thing she probably would have done was to ask that archive if there were any like temples or places of worship to any of these old gods within the city.
Oh. Yes, there is actually a chapel. It is,
Okay.
and it even references there is a chapel to all of the deities, and references a location, gives you a rough estimation of like kind of like that zooming in on that area of the city. It would be the equivalent of being told it's a small chapel in the country and seeing a cathedral.
Okay.
Like that's
Okay.
the size of it within the city. It's huge. It is kind of towards like, so let's say you're here.
Mhm.
This is the surface of the city, which has sand and stuff like that. It is somewhere around here near the surface of one of the exterior kind of buildings that is covered by sand. It is technically accessible, but it would probably take some time and creativity to get there, but it is absolutely a location, and references that there is a full like, and as it shows going down the main I should know this off the top of my head because of my father being a pastor. The main sanctuary, thank you, going towards the Narsal, you will actually see like statues of every single one of the patrons, or not patrons, the deities, going down kind of like that Roman pantheon feel.
Okay. Definitely wants to put that place on her radar, but then she's probably just helping Viet with this bag because she doesn't really understand why he's so afraid of it.
Fair.
He'll be glad to explain. He wasn't there, but he'll be glad to explain how his cousin Thrept was eaten by a bag like this.
I don't think that was a bag.
Yes, it was not a bag, but it looked like a bag, like this bag.
Okay.
So what if it was that bag?
Well, yeah, what if it was that bag?
We killed that bag. Well, I was not being there. So he'll kind of
Was killed.
Like grab June and duck her behind the table too.
So as you investigate and June assists, you get to the point where you finally kind of, all right, seems safe enough. Let's see if it's the bad bag or if it's the good bag. And the only way you truly know is by turning it inside out. Because if you turn it in without putting your hand in, you just from the bottom,
Okay.
As you do.
Stand by, Juniper Swift.
Okay, I've got my sword. standing by.
Hit it hard. Remember to hit it hard. If
Right.
it takes my arm, you hit it hard.
I'm not going to do that, but okay.
Drebs, it like got on his head.
As you do, out from it, it will pour golden coins. And then a small chest, and then a small leather pouch. There is about 900 gold
Okay.
inside the chest. If we look, it's not locked. Very like
Be careful, Juniper Swift.
Yeah, I'll take my sword and kind
It
of.
could be a baby.
I'm sorry.
It could be a baby.
you'll find a
Wouldn't
mimic.
this-
No.
Would it be
The leather
alive
pouch?
after all of these years?
The leather pouch would be the baby, right?
Viet will give the chest a little kick.
Oh no, from what I've
No,
read
I'll-
about these mimics, they could be any part of that.
I'll take my sword and kind of open the chest if I can.
Yeah.
Like,
They'll be
flips
ready
open.
to stomp on it.
Inside the small chest is like it's hundreds of gold worth of precious gems, diamonds, pearls, all kinds of things.
wow.
Damn.
650 gold worth of precious gems.
I want to stick them in my hair.
Let's just close that back up.
It's not big, you know.
They could be eggs.
I don't think. Hey, Worm, do you think these are eggs?
It's worth closer investigating. I think. Can Worm like just do detect magic on it?
Yeah, absolutely. Roll me an arcana. Just real
Okay.
quick.
Oh my goodness. 12.
12. And you're trying to ascertain specifically if these
Any of the items that came out of the bag, is there anything more hidden in there?
fair. In the chest with the precious gems and things like that,
Eggs.
there is one item in there that does seem to have a magical aura. And if you kind of re-look specifically for it, you will find a black pearl.
Ooh. This
And
one.
As a practitioner who uses the identify spell, you will know that this specific black pearl gives you it has 10 charges, but it has guaranteed 100% accuracy with its identification every time. After you use the 10 charges, though, it decays.
Okay. I will
Maybe- Maybe hang on to that one.
yes, absolutely. I
What's
mean,
in?
I have means to discern these such things normally.
There's
It's
a
quite
certain
handy.
margin of error, though.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, with all this unfamiliar stuff, if that's as accurate as you say it is, that's probably something good to have in your back pocket.
Absolutely.
What's in this leather pouch?
Opening the leather pouch, you will see there are 5 vials of a liquid, or each one having a liquid in it. 2 of them red, 1 blue, 1 silver, and 1 is in a kind of flux state.
1 silver and one. Do they look familiar at all?
The 2 red ones do.
Okay.
They look like those rare, true potions of healing.
Cool.
The potency, you're not sure.
Unknown, but These are probably handy too. I don't know what the other three are, but these two look like they could probably help heal you in a fight.
Viet still poking the bag. Sticking. All right, Juniper, here's the test. You'll shake the bag out right side up.
Oh.
Be ready. Be ready. Hit it hard if,
Okay, I'm ready.
if it jumps on my head.
Okay.
You'll stick his hand in there and take his hand out again.
You're fine.
You'll take one of the coins and put it in there.
Yep.
Leave it out, and then reach in and get it again.
You can get it again.
I think we should just be treating this with caution, but it looks like a good sack.
This gold, is it the same currency as we currently use, or is it older?
It is weighted the same, but it is old.
Okay. Is it like too old to be in circulation anymore? Like if we use it, is it going to be really suspicious or?
Put it this way. When it comes to gold, if it's weighted the right way, most people aren't going to care.
Particularly in these times of strife.
But the right person might take notice of it.
Okay.
Void Knights again.
She would definitely sort of kind of bring that up. Be like, I mean, we may want to be careful about who we use this with, but I don't think anybody else around here is using it. Right? Is that wrong? Is it stealing?
Yeah, we'll shift his crowbar into a shovel and start shoveling it back into the bag.
Or you're okay with it. Okay.
It seems we stumbled on quite the bounty of the ancients at a very opportune time. I would just lump this in with everything else that we are finding and obviously needing for the future.
I can justify that.
Of course you can.
She'll help Viet. I mean, she's not as efficient as a shovel, but she'll help Viet kind of put this stuff back. But maybe
Viet's making really good time with this shovel.
Oh yeah,
almost as if he has advantage on.
Almost.
The leather pouch, is it on like a long cord, or is it like you would tie it to? Okay, she'll probably just put that around her neck then.
Okay.
Viet will go.
Nobody has objections.
He gets the coins filled in, then he'll walk over to Worm and start taking books away from Worm and putting them in the bag.
Oh yes, take this one. This one's quite interesting. This one I'll need to make a lot of notes on it as soon as possible. It looks like it's in good shape, but who knows what'll happen once we take it out of this repository.
Viet doesn't say anything. He just takes it out of your hand and puts it in the bag.
I tell you, Viet, it's interesting. I was on a dig here, like not 30 years ago or so, and we dug up a strange woman who claimed to be some sort of beer goddess from some ancient civilization.
I'm sorry, what?
I had no idea this was here, though.
You dug up a woman?
Oh, yes. She was in some sort of suspended animation, woke up, insisted that she was the goddess of beer and that she had overseen a colony of primitive humans and taught them the arts of wine, mead, and beer making. We just, kind of dismissed it as, okay.
As he's talking, take the book out of his hands and put it in the bag.
Curiouser and curiouser.
I'm assuming we're not going to be able to take all these books, so this will just.
Go on.
This will just go on for a little while.
You'll be like,
I saved some room for my tool chest yet.
Take a book back.
Maybe we don't need to take all of the books. Yeah, maybe just like three really good ones.
All right. Hard to choose.
Viet will start taking. I don't know how many books he's put in, but he'll start taking the books out again So we get down to 3.
Lay them out. We'll choose the 3.
No, not those 3. Keep this one in there.
Okay. I'm gonna let you choose the 3 books because
I think Maven should choose the books. No, I'm just kidding. I have no clue what I'm looking for.
I may be a little biased in what I'm trying to find here. So
what are you trying to find?
I'm a little dazzled by this information of possible ancient gnomish kingdoms.
I am not thinking that is real.
Why?
I think it is telling stories.
Oh.
Viet, I don't.
The thing about stories, Viet, is that they all come from a certain very meaningful origin. People don't just tell stories for no reason. They tell stories to transmit meaning of a sort. And then through time, they travel through so many political, historical, linguistic, and cultural contexts. It's so sublime to just pick through the detritus of you've heard of the game of telephone, you know.
Viet will have taken out all but 3 of the books and wandered off again.
I think you lost him.
Good talk.
Good talk.
All right. So as you are all going,
Start randomly
over
putting stuff in the
that-
bag.
All right. Are you grabbing the other things that are on the shelves? Like there were the Bane weapons that were identified. There was the buckle-sized
Yeah. Can I?
armor plate.
I kind of dropped my armor back in the desert. Do you mind if I just?
Are you asking
Why were
for
you-
permission?
Can I just
do whatever you want?
No, like Juniper's legit asking everybody else, hey, like I dropped my armor. Can I have that?
No.
It seems the archive is fine with us being the current custodians of everything here. So
I'm gonna take
Have
that.
at it.
This is your first time. Hey, Juniper Swift.
My first time, like what?
Looting.
Looting? Yeah.
Looting
Yeah,
at
it's my
ruins.
It's my first time looting some ancient city. What?
If you see it, you pick it up. And then you give
That
it to the
sounds like-
quartermaster if it's not something that you can use right away.
That sounds like a terrible idea. I bet
Trust
that's
me.
how your cousin got bit by a bag.
Viet scratches his nose with his blue hand. I am not knowing what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't pick up stuff you don't know what it is.
So you pick up the kind of just looks like it'd fit kind of like on a chess piece, kind of has a little curvature to it. And after messing with it for a little bit, and even the archive kind of chiming in as you're like, how does this even work? Like, what
This
do
is
I
the
do with
tiniest
this?
piece of armor. Yeah.
Yeah. It chimes in and instructs you on how to activate it. And basically placing it upon your chest and like activating it by touching the certain ruins that are on it, it actually starts to expand, turning in like, and it grows what looks like almost like scale armor that then sets into like engraved breastplate. And
That's cool.
yeah, it grows like liquidy scales and then hardens. It is light. You
I like
have,
this.
and it has multiple colors to it. It looks like it has like shades of like the scales kind of picking up that look of like black dragon scales and copper dragon scales and blue and red and
Sweet.
like, yeah, it just really interplays across all of it, having kind of that iridescent look to the armor. You have 3 charges within it. It's a +3 armor. Once you use one of those charges, it reduces that plus to the armor. So AC 15 plus your dex mod plus the modifier of wherever it is, what charges you
Sweet.
may or may not have used. And then specifically, the archive tells you that Specifically, when dealing with dragons, when they breathe and use their breath weapon against you, you can use the charges, that is that modifier on the armor, up to 3, to, if you make a successful roll and would take half damage, you can use a charge to take no damage and heal whatever that damage would have been. On a failed save, when you would have taken all of the damage, you can use one of the charges to only take half.
That's super handy.
It says it can, and this is a rechargeable armor. So once you use those charges, it drops off. It does not have the information, even if you ask, on how.
She definitely would have asked.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
And just for an added little fun thing with it, because of the way that this is made, and like I said, it's light, it feels like you're not even wearing it almost. It doesn't have to be taken off to sleep.
Sweet. I like that.
Maven, are you finding anything to chop off fingers?
I pull my knife out, my little Dragon's Bane dagger. I go,
Short sword, actually. It
Short
looked like a
sword.
dagger on that creature.
I pull out my short sword and I go, hmm? Hmm?
The
Well, and then
archive
there's-
will jump in and kind of redouble down on talking on how the Dragon Bane's weapons that are here, plus the one you are holding, are all +3 Dragon's Bane weapons. Against dragons, they do an extra 3d6 damage.
That's awesome.
Damn.
But
Mhm.
every time you make a nat 1, it reduces that magical charge, that magical essence that keeps that blade so sharp, and reduces it from a 3 to a 2, to a 2 to a 1, then to a 0. And at 0, if you get another nat 1 on it, it removes the entire magical honing of that blade, and it is just a regular blade.
Hmm.
Also references that it can be repaired magically, but that's all it really gives to the specifics of that.
Yeah. I don't think it would hurt to make a collection out of these.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, why don't you put those 2 in the bag?
We do not put sharp things in bags.
I can put them on my person. I've got a bunch of holsters under my coat.
What are the other weapons here? Are they both daggers or what are they? Is there like a longsword or anything?
There is a
An
long
axe? There's a longsword?
There is a long sword.
Viet will pull that one out and Maven, if it's all right, this would cut off a lot of fingers.
You know what, Viet? If you bring me 5 fingers in the next 3 days, I'll let you keep it.
Fingers for murdered?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a sheath or anything around here? Sheaths it up, straps it to his back. And the other weapon? What's the other weapon?
June will pull it out and see what we've got here. Just kind of spin it around.
This was another one of those items that I had told you. What are you looking for? I was giving you guys a little autonomy on that.
Do you want to
Who?
have a dagger? Then you and June or you and Maven could swap out. Maven, I don't know if you're
Sure.
proficient with short swords.
I'm not, but I am proficient with daggers. So
Oh,
Is-
here.
dagger would
Is
be good.
June proficient
I'm
with
not
short
really
swords?
proficient. I'm not really proficient in anything, so I'm working on that. Maybe you can keep both of those for now.
I got
So a
you.
dagger and a short
Hey,
sword and a long sword.
Hey, June.
Yeah.
When we next time we have a short rest, I can give you some tips to use these a little bit better in a way that you might not expect. So we can talk about that
That's
later.
really cryptic. I think
I taught a
wanna
bunch
talk
of
about
children
that
how to
now.
use daggers and swords
Oh,
with pieces of stained glass. So
got it. Okay.
I could literally,
That's-
I feel like if anyone's going to teach you how to use a dagger, it's going to be me. because
Cool.
I can actually teach it to small
Pointy
children.
bit.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that you stick the pointy end.
Of course, no, but there's
Away
a
from
whole way
you.
it's
There's
the way that you
nuance.
stand.
You
It's
do it
the
really
way that you
hard.
crouch. I got you. So we can do that when we have some downtime. I can
Perfect.
show you some pointers and just
I'll
kind
go
of,
through
and
my
I'll help you with your
exercises.
swordsmanship in general.
Well, everybody's helping Juniper learn. She's getting a well-rounded
Yeah,
blade education here.
from
Mhm.
stagecraft to soldiering to just, theoretical, practical knowledge.
Mm.
To a little bit of berserker in there. It's gonna
Yeah.
get
You know-
weirdest fighting style.
I use puppets if that helps. It's a good learning mechanism.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll flip
So-
open that other case that was there. Check that out quick. He's not worried about that being something that will eat him.
So this is like the archive. Are there any like odd implements or devices? Maybe something that looks like navigation tools or chemistry kits or anything. Worm would be trying to use what knowledge he's growing into to like figure out if anything else here would be helpful in finding and gaining intelligence on the dragons as they exist today.
I would say, for the most part, due to the amount of years that have gone by, that there have been creatures through here, other than the protected tomes and the weapons and things like that that are been stowed. Most everything else has either been destroyed, ravaged by time, or things like that. I mean, there was a lot of good things here.
Yes.
The
Well-
long case. Oh, Viet will flip open the long case. Is it a pull cue?
The long case
There's
A long case.
a long case. There's
from
there's
what?
two cases. There's a poker chip case and there's another case.
There was another bag, right?
But there's like a poker
I
chip
don't know.
case. And a rod.
I
Is there a
didn't-
rod?
The immovable rod. Sorry. Yes.
Is that in the case?
Yes, that was in a case. Yes,
Flip open the case and look at that. He's not worried about cases eating him for some reason.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there is basically a long cylindrical rod. It has on one end a.
Is it
just
dynamic?
It's not dynamic. It does have what looks to be a jeweled kind of button on one end, and the other end kind of flares out just a little bit like kind of a stand, where that's the end you set on something.
Yeah, we'll hold it off to the side and push the button.
And you can't lower your hand if you're holding onto it.
Oh, this is like my crowbar.
Oh, you have an item like this.
Kind of, yes. Yeah, well,
Now he lets go to show you his crowbar, and it just stays floating
Basically.
there.
and he'll use up the fifth charge on his crowbar, showing him how that works.
Oh, see, yeah.
That could be handy.
Yes, these are very well. I have not really used mine yet much. A little bit. This will make good hammock.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it
you
would.
could climb something or like, yeah.
That
Yeah.
is the zenith of possible uses for it. A hammock holder. Yes.
I'm ashamed that has never occurred to me. I'm going to be honest. In all the years I have played D&D, that no,
I've-
click.
Totally been thinking, make myself a little bag thing to sleep in. But
Oh my
I
god.
just
That
haven't
is
got that far
truly
yet.
amazing. All right.
Yeah.
So, the sun rods that we already discussed, that was in.
Oh, that's in the
another-
poker chip case.
Yeah, that's in the poker chip case. Thank you for reminding me, because I was like, we're past that. Yeah, and you open those up, and inside there are 6 small, they're reusable. You very quickly realize you shake them up, and they emit light like a torch. And after about 5 minutes, they start to dim. 10 minutes, they are completely out. And so rechargeable, you just gotta shake weight them up. And
Oh my
then
god.
do whatever you want. Hey, I didn't put that in you.
I love it.
Those could be super handy too, actually. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll hand one out to everybody.
So everyone has a sun rod.
I have a sun rod.
Mhm.
He'll show Worm how you
Ah.
shake it.
Shake it, shake it.
Yeah, right. I'll get it.
Well,
Oh,
should
no.
we move on?
Leech 100%
to the-
isn't here. Why did I say that? Leech is
I don't know.
not here. He would have like, oh, you're going places? I'm fine. You know?
I'm sure Celia will come drop me off for you later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, don't make that joke. He'd be so upset by that.
Should we move on to the super experimental room?
Yes.
How exciting does that sound?
It sounds
you-
so good. I'm
Sounds-
ready. Let's go.
Did we loot
Terrifying,
everything we're going to
actually.
loot? You got your 3 books, Worm?
Gosh, when you
Yeah,
say it
yes.
like that, it makes
let
me
me
feel
grab
icky.
3 more. I'll be right there.
When you call it looting, yeah, it really makes me feel icky.
Well, it is icky. You're
He just
doing
kind of
the crime,
shrugs. Yeah, just
Maven
kinda
says while
shrugs, like,
putting things in her pockets.
I mean, it's looting without it being anyone who's left alive who was
Yeah.
their property.
yes, that is what my friend would always say.
Look, I'm not going to complain because I look hot in this armor, but
it's a necklace.
Form fitting. Think kind of that Asgardian dragon scale look.
hell yes.
Oh my god.
A
Yeah,
cape grows in for no reason.
Yeah, we'll kind of hammer on one of the van braces a little bit. This does not look sturdy enough for you, Juniper.
And the thing
We will
is,
get
as
you
you
some
move,
heavier
it
moving.
does flex like it's like cloth. But
Like
the
cloth.
second you hit it, it is hard.
I can't even feel that.
Has Viet seen anything like this?
Roll me a history check.
Because he's really skeptical at this point.
I'd say almost with disadvantage, just for the fact of like
Oh,
this is.
I might as well screw that roll. That's
I'm
a
just
3
saying,
then.
like
It was a
3,
13, but now it's a 3.
yeah, like even with a 13, no. Like
I'm
you've
not-
heard of like
This is better than
Well
nothing, Juniper, but we will have to get you better armor later. This is.
I don't know. I feel pretty good in this.
He gets his hammer out. Should we test it?
Oh god.
No.
I'll hold her down.
Maybe
I-
later. Maybe when you
Swing.
Excuse me.
maybe when you are taking it off, we will test it just to.
You just have to ask nicely, Maven.
Oh.
Uh, trust it. I think I have seen something like this before. Would I have? I think
Well-
Oliver has notes about this.
Maybe in the
type of thing.
testing armory, we will find a
I'm
big
gonna still
log
say
on a pulley system, and we
disadvantage
can
just because-
swing and try to hit you with it.
History.
I don't.
yeah.
Is there a little swoop on the?
Okay. History. Flipping through my notes. It's 18.
Ooh.
With disadvantage?
Yes.
Well done, sir. You've at least heard, whether it be in like scattered ruins, notes, something referencing, magically or like organic living magic armor that is made from the essence of whatever creature it is protecting it against.
Yeah. See right here. Look, I made a sketch of something I saw before. This figure here looks almost if they're naked, but the arrows are just bouncing right off of them.
Viet
I
will
didn't
hold
know
it-
what
put
to
his-
think of it until
Viet
I.
will hold his hand in front of Juniper's eyes. This is not. Maybe you should be not watching, looking at this. What?
What?
I didn't know what to make of it until look, the lines, they're similar.
I've totally seen. Never mind. I'm not going to explain that to you.
I'm not a virgin.
I think we might have seen boobs at one point. Just
I
a
think
thought.
so.
Just a guess.
I have them.
Are we
Yeah,
being ready to
exactly.
go?
Whoa. Whoa, that's news. Okay, I didn't want to assume anything.
Oh.
What? You do? What a scandal.
Oh my god.
If it's organic and living, do I have to feed it?
No, it's magically.
Viet is
like,
pressing a
think-
couple crackers into her hand now.
You're at least. I would say. You know what? Screw it. Everyone, roll
maybe
me an
eating you.
Arcana check.
I'll roll Arcana. Why the heck not? What do I got?
Right.
Here.
11.
12.
5.
Wait, I have to do it too? Shit.
Yes.
Shoot. Sorry. Oh my god.
Actually, you get advantage.
Me? Hell yeah.
You
I do.
specifically.
19,
Why?
baby.
19. So, like, the idea of this is that you know something that is created through magic,
Mhm.
through the embodiment of something alive, is kind of, and you'll fill in the blanks as other people are kind of, except you, Viet, are kind of like, okay, it kind of makes sense. You kind of fill in the holes of like the idea of like what a familiar is. It's not actually an alive, like normal creature. It is a magical construct filled with magical energy, sometimes a fey creature, sometimes whatever, but magic infuses it and gives it a life, even though it's only a magical construct infused by,
sometimes-
yeah.
Sometimes you marry them, and sometimes, sometimes when a warlock and a dragon love each other very much. I'm sorry, Callan should be here to say that.
It like right next to you without you even realizing, sitting on the edge of the table that's been overturned next to Viet, you'll see Sentry, who just is looking at Viet and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, dear. I think you're losing him."
Shit, I forgot about you.
Oh, I know. That's why I just had to pop in. Don't worry. This 100% is kind of like a hallucination, except I actually am not and am here. It's kind of fun, that whole bond. Just a reminder. Always watching, always here. And then he just like, as you blink and look at everybody to like, am I crazy? He's gone.
Are you okay?
I go over and touch the table a couple times, just like,
Maven.
You're
He's got a
welcome.
new sack tucked into his bed, into his belt, tied to his belt. He's got the sword on. We got the 3 books lashed down inside the bag.
Yeah, you didn't give her any of that hallucinogen, did you?
He checks the component pouch. No.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Good. I'm good.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'm good. Are you good? Why are you looking at me? Are you good? You don't. You what? Mind your business. Let's go to the lab. To the lab. To the lab. Maven walks out of the room.
Maven, you know what? Not Oliver. Juniper. And even
Yeah.
Viet. Roll me an insight.
Oh, she's fiddling with her belt the whole way down the hallway.
No, I
too.
know. I get it.
Yeah.
Dirty-
You get
dirt-
me. You get me.
Dirty 20.
And a 24.
Damn.
Both of you kind of look at Maven as she walks out and is like, onward. And you look at each other. Yeah, that's weird. She's never done this before. She's normally kind of a, dare I say, blunt bitch.
Yes.
Right now, she's being very evasive and very kind of like fidgety. Do
Yeah,
with
we'll
that
double
information
check.
as you will.
Viet will double check his component pouch again and be counting his doses.
You're good. Nope, it's all there.
I'm not fidgety. You're fidgety.
Did she get something from Leech?
I don't know, but maybe we should
Is
keep
it
an eye on her.
did she
You
eat
hear
one of
down
the
the
Galton
hallway,
eggs and having a
"Onward!"
reaction?
I don't think she would have touched the Galton eggs.
Worm,
Wouldn't hurt to keep an eye on her though.
Worm, we are not taking all the books.
Wow, look at all
I
these
know.
cool things
No, I
I
know.
see.
Just let me scribble down some notes here, and are we moving on? What's going on?
I'm
we're
halfway
moving
down
on.
the hallway, just going.
You are
"Wow, that's
having map,
amazing."
yes? Yes, Worm, you are having map?
Yes, I have the map. I got as many of the points that the archive pointed out scribbled
Yeah,
on
well-
there as I could.
Kind of go over and just kind of start herding Worm away from the bookshelf.
Oh,
Good idea.
you probably need to make a check for that.
We can come
Oh
back.
no.
We can come back.
We can come back.
We know it's here.
No.
There-
the ancient knowledge.
I don't think it's going anywhere.
Okay.
They'll just
Turn
randomly pull a
around, look
book off
back,
the
it
shelf.
just all
and-
just turns to dust. No.
Oh.
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 That would be so
Okay.
cruel.
Oh.
I like it. You should do it.
Blah. We'll catch up to Maven halfway down the hallway.
I'm walking very slowly. I wasn't
How
really
far
trying
is
to
it?
get away.
How far is it being to the armory? Worm.
So take a look right here. It is exactly this far scaled up to, the distance in real life, not the distance on the map.
Probably about
Which is-
2 days.
Cool.
Just for the fact of damage and gears and all of that. And there's not like a straight there's a path here, take these stairs here, go down this street, it's like here to here,
No, I'm ready. Maven's like, hell yeah, dungeon crawl. Let's go.
Go. All right. So, you all venture out.
Get to
Can
try
I
some-
get a survival roll from anyone who's proficient?
me?
That's me.
Yeah, yours is
So
probably
me.
higher than mine.
Oh, my dice are mean. Okay,
Are they the
so
electronic one?
14. Yes, I'm going to change them to something.
No, you're not. I'm for once not getting Callan rolls.
Okay, well, you saw this build. I've got like a million.
I know you do.
plus
I
a
know.
million and
I-
everything. And none of it's working for me.
But you're not as lucky. You've got the.
Oh. Oh, we're gonna bring the luck thing into it now. Oh.
I don't have any of that.
Wow.
Mm-mm.
That's a
Mm-mm.
I don't know.
low blow.
Couldn't be me.
Just saying, sometimes certain characters just roll crazy.
True.
14.
14. That's not bad. That's not bad.
Especially
This is
after
not a
they take
crazy
certain, tattoos off of their dead brothers.
Oof.
Yeah, what did you roll?
I didn't roll. Was I supposed to roll?
Anybody who is proficient in
Oh,
survival
everybody
should
who's
roll.
Jeez. Well, I'm on a roll. That'd be an 8.
Right, okay.
Distracted.
Maven.
Trying to herd
I thought I was
people.
proficient, and then I realized I wasn't.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I'm not proficient, so
All right, fair. All right, so, so as you travel, you're gonna find there are sections of the city that are completely have that kind of cavernous dome feel, where you're feels almost like you're walking, kind of like in Dragonlock in the Stones District, where you get that feel of a cavern overhead walking down city streets. And then there's areas that are completely caved in, and you have to go into a building and, go to a second floor that has a caved in wall, and you're making your way. It's slow progress.
Just for point of order, I'd imagine that Worm and Viet are probably trading off taking point.
Yep,
Viet,
absolutely.
And Maven has decent
Yeah.
stealth too, right?
Hmm?
Is Maven proficient in stealth as well?
Oh. No,
I guess
Are
I
you
just
trying
But
to
I do have a
actually
plus
stealth while you're doing all this?
I have a +4 to stealth, so I mean, I'm not good at it.
But you're not proficient.
No, I'm
Not-
not proficient.
100% of the time, but oh, this seems like a big open spot. Then we would try to scope it out a
Yeah.
little bit and
Okay.
regular tunnel, walk normal pace. But when you get to crossroads,
How about
and that
this?
types of
Everyone
things,
roll me a stealth check. That way we'll take the average for the party for the important,
Ooh.
stealth moments.
Nat 20 for 21.
Nice.
13.
Mick's not happy.
Chris isn't either. You don't look very happy.
Worm got a 3.
Oh my gosh.
Viet got a 10.
Okay.
That
He-
ranger.
He's still rifling through books as we're walking.
Yeah.
apparently.
No,
Viet is
there's a
probably
lot to
paranoid.
uncover.
Viet is probably paranoid as hell down here, so it's throwing him off. Everything is a threat.
Yeah, and
Probably
seeing as you described it with the books, Viet, why don't you roll me a perception check? Seeing as you described your bad stealth with perception, being paranoid.
Jeez. 15.
15. Yeah, it sounds like I should throw a skill check challenge at you guys with the way we're rolling.
Okay.
Yeah,
That dice has been working hard. We're gonna set that over there and let him have a rest.
it has the same
Still is-
statistical probability.
Still a good dice. It's a good dice. Just need
There
some-
are a few times over the course of the first day where you get the sense of like something might be following you. You got that idea of like eyes on you, or you catch the like movement in the distance, or
which
a
isn't
shadow.
unusual on a delve, but Viet would be more paranoid about it given that we're in a fallen city. We're in a
Yep.
landed city.
Yeah. And also, like, I'm sure after that mad dash near the end of getting to the repository, like Maven and Juniper said, like, something almost got us.
Yeah,
I saw
very,
the-
very much.
Viet saw the fingers. So
Saw the
Yeah.
claw, yeah.
So, yeah, you get the sense something might be watching, something might be kind of keeping an eye, following.
Oh, I wish it
Maven,
would.
Juniper, you guys, ironically, are the like the stealthiest, the quietest. You feel confident in your ability of moving. You've been kind of occasionally catching Oliver as he's like reading at a time where it's like, dude, seriously, like focus. Put your phone down and we're gonna do a thing, you know.
Oh my god.
Sorry, I might have had a flash to talking to my children.
Yeah, very bad.
So, day one, overall, other than catching the glimpses of something that may be following you, you make good distance, even though it is like not perfect travel. Roll me just whoever would like to roll me survival. Actually, either Oliver or Viet, roll me survival with advantage, seeing as you two are trained. So between the both of you, one of you has advantage.
Jeez, I don't know which one of us wants to do it though.
I'm doing it.
Okay.
He's doing it.
I'm in my element. Oh,
The books.
Yep.
12.
You're-
I
12.
swear, I wasn't looking at him that much. I can focus. I'm
I'm multitasking, Dad. I can do more than one. Yeah, no, I've heard it all. So yeah, so you're on watch, you know, but yeah, absolutely nothing bad happens. Sleep goes through your watches.
Viet's just so exhausted that he just sleeps anyway through the night anyway, but very
And you
fitful.
find a good spot, like in one of the cavernous spaces of the city streets, and sleep on a roof overlooking kind of like a intersection. So you feel somewhat familiar with Dragonlock and, you know, underground, which sucks, but it's a big open area. But nothing jumps out at any of you.
Scott, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
We had discussed an item for that gives advantage on detecting traps.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Oliver would have that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd like to flavor it as that relic coin that he has, unless you had some other idea.
No, absolutely. That works.
Okay. That's all I was going to bring up.
Super. All right. Second day. Everyone roll me a stealth check for the day. This is going to be amazing.
Dirty 20.
7.
Hey, there we go.
Okay, I put it away.
I got a natural 1 for a 2.
13.
Okay, so we switched.
Natural 20 to a natural
So
1.
Oliver put the book away. He's like, all right, guys, seriously, I got to focus up. This is my element. And yeah, Maven and Juniper are the ones who are kind of being distracted and, getting heebie-jeebies. Both of you, just real quick, roll me a perception check.
Oh,
And
23.
thank God.
23. Yeah, at a couple moments, Juniper, specifically, you actually catch a glimpse of, like, you look back behind you guys as you're moving and all moving quietly. You look past kind of like an archway you just kind of went through and you just nothing. Start moving again, look back, and you almost see like a head, like the silhouette of like a head and shoulders sticking through that same spot, and you just stumble. And
She probably
like,
cursed,
rocks.
and that's
Yeah,
where the
and-
natural 1 comes
yeah,
in. Holy,
yep.
holy crap.
And you look forward and look back, and it's gone.
She would definitely share that information with the group. Like, I totally saw something. Like, there's something, you guys. That's where the natural 1 comes in. It's just,
Where did
There's
she
like-
say it?
Behind in your back trail, kind of like you went through kind of like an alleyway with an arch and all that started to work its way into a tunnel and kind of just looking at ambient cave fungus light and stuff like that. You look back, nothing. Look back, there's a silhouette.
Worm.
Oh, so there's Shaggy and Scooby right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, quietly, Worm, should we double back and see if we can catch it? Or at least look for tracks. You know this city better than we do. The things, the juice,
The Kruthix, yes.
Kruthix things, yes.
Could be Kruthix. I'm not inclined to stick around to let them come get me.
So keep moving
But it's
then.
better to have the upper hand. You're right.
It sounds like my house some days. I don't know.
well, it's certainly not a quiet creature.
Well, Viet will let Worm take the lead, and he'll drop back behind Maven and June just a little bit. He'll pull up rear guard.
Okay, Worm takes the lead on something dramatic happening. This is kind of everyone's probably dazzled because he just kind of, instead of being all bookish and the little hunched over gnome relic hunter, suddenly he stands up straight, grabs his whip, and gets ready to fight anything.
I love
This
it.
is your
Let's
inner
go.
monologue.
Gets his hat
Isn't
straightened
it?
out.
Oh, this is him. He cuts an imposing figure when he's ready to fight.
All right.
Okay.
Viet will kind of straighten up to his 4'6".
So,
yeah, you're taller.
Oliver, you start
Yes.
to head back on that back trail.
No, we are keeping going.
Oh, you gotta keep going. Oh, sorry, I
We'll
misunderstood.
keep going. But I think
Okay.
since there's something going on in the back, Holliver might let Viet take point, and Holliver will shift back
Okay.
to watch for anything that might be coming up on our tail end.
Okay. That's fine. As long as someone's watching, pulling up the rear, they're ready to go. So,
Okay.
since these two are not being very quiet.
I'm sorry. You know what? It was really creepy. I'm sorry.
Don't apologize.
Why?
You all travel for
You're doing
about
your
another
best.
hour. Yeah, you're in the lead. You know something's following you. And you start to, like, as much as you know you've been told multiple times by people it's not the same creatures. But there's still that little, like, as you're traveling. And as you do, you're going to start to, like, hear. You're going to hear Manny talking to you and telling you that, it's like, oh, a noise in the dark isn't always the worst possibility. I'm just coming up with something. And, yeah, you're going to hear Fenris reassuring you that
we can
as long
take
as
it,
we all-
I.
It's like, we can stick together. If we need to run, though, we should all be pantsless.
Yeah. Impedes mobility.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. He gets it.
And at a certain point, you're going to be all moving, and all of a sudden there's going to be a sound behind all of you. Loud. Something breaking. And quickly, however, you're going to turn around, kind of whip out, ready to go. Maven, Juniper, you all look. Yet, as you're turning, all of a sudden, right next to you, without you even realizing it, out of the corner of your eye, you're going to see movement. Make me a dexterity saving throw.
Jeez.
Hmm.
9.
9.
Gonna
That
take a
will
little
be
rest too.
that will be a failure.
I didn't curse your dice, I promise.
And as you see that movement, you kind of turn and try to move out of the way, and you slip and fall onto your back, hammer falling away. And all of a sudden, next to you, what's the first family member you think of in your mind?
First family member
Yep, real quick.
would be crap, what's his name?
Not someone you were very close to.
Apparently.
Like alive or dead?
Dead.
We'll say martyred.
All of a sudden, as
Logistics.
these claws come slashing through the dark, a shield of Mardred is going to all of a sudden stand in front of you, hold up a shield, and block this incoming strike. And it's going to pulse with light, and it's going to, all of a sudden you hear it screech and run into the darkness. She holds out a hand to help you up, looks at you like, we're always here. And then she'll disappear.
Did any of the rest of us see that?
Absolutely, you all saw that.
It's busy fingering the items in his beard.
What
What?
was that?
Who are those people?
I got goosebumps too.
Who was that? Is there another immediate threat, first of all?
At this moment, you do in the distance, far distance, hear some kind of shrieking, and you get the smell of almost like ozone, of like something burning, like, or burnt, like, like something happened, and it is like a dog whimpering in the dark, far away, getting further.
What even? I mean, we should keep moving, but Via, who was that?
He's busy muttering to himself.
Okay.
Oliver would, if Oliver's around, he could interpret. But
It's are the figures gone?
Yep. As quickly as it showed up, it faded away.
Viet's gonna look
June-
pale and shook.
You all seem to know something about this, and you're focusing on Viet. Is there something I'm missing here?
What did you see?
June's gonna find Viet's hammer and give it back to
Juniper,
him.
Maven,
Yeah.
would you both roll me a history check real quick?
That wasn't my roll. It fell. History? 22.
Maven?
Hmm.
Would you roll?
10.
10. Juniper, you'll remember it because for a moment you were her inside of Viet's mind.
Do I remember who she was to Viet?
His cousin? No,
Cousin?
sister. Sorry.
Sister. Viet, was that
Older
your
sister.
sister? As she hands the
shakily.
hammer back to him.
Shakily nod.
This is a phantom visage of your sister, and we're all seeing it. That can't bode well. Can
I feel like-
Oliver insight or investigate or figure anything out about what's causing
Sure.
or what could cause it?
Roll me either a history check or a arcana check.
Okay, going history. 21.
21. So without knowing the full backstory and history and everything of Viet, the only thing that really comes to you is thinking of like you've heard of individuals who have like ancestral guardians. And a lot of times they're like more like tribesmen, people who live out on the land and like worship in a way, or at least are more closely tied to their ancestors. But you've heard of individuals, especially warriors, who have been said to be like surrounded by, protected by, or go into battle with their ancestors who both fight with them and protect them.
Viet will very gingerly touch one of the tattoos on his bicep. And he'll start getting his shield out, strapping up.
Is this an omen that something's coming, Viet? Is this some sort of shaman works?
He's still just muttering to himself, just Jemne Vieter and Ogyan Buja. For Hollander, it'd be earth and wind and fire and storm, earth and wind and fire and storm, earth and wind and fire and storm. He's basically unresponsive. So
yeah.
This dwarf has some sort of spirits at his side, or at best spirits at his side. We should be similarly preparing ourselves, I feel.
June will take out her sword, but she's going to stick pretty close to Viet.
Okay. So you continue. Viet, throughout the rest of this day, every now and then you start to hear other voices. All of them dead family. Some almost feel further back. At a certain point during the travels, you're a little lost, and you'll actually see a very, like, in attire you're not even familiar with seeing. Think your classic fantasy dwarf armor and regalia. Just look and just touch the stone and kind of nod and just like, aye, this way. And just point you in a direction. And you hear Manny every now and then talking about how many hands makes light work and the opportunities of working with family again and things like that.
So all through this, Viet's going to be touching different tattoos on his body all day long.
And beyond that one time where everyone saw it, like none of these other things that Viet sees or hears is present to anyone else. But eventually, you'll get to a point where just after one of that same kind of ancient looking dwarf points and down a staircase and then disappears, you'll make your way down into a very large chamber. And as soon as you get to the like kind of top of the stairs to go down, there'll be a small little crystal that starts to like flicker like an old incandescent lamp, just, and you'll see a very pixelated version of the archive. Greetings. You made it to the prototypical testing armory. I advise all of you not to continue forward. All of the things within here are extremely dangerous. Though,
Nah.
you are, as you have all suggested, the new owners of this entire city. So, I invite you, welcome. Please, be at caution.
Yeah, it would have
Cool.
been a little shaky at the top of the stairs until the city started talking to them again, and then he'd take a deep breath and go down the stairs,
All right.
double checking that everybody's behind him.
June's right there. Yeah.
I don't think we have the luxury of passing up any potential help we can find amongst these prototypes.
So yeah, Viet, as you look back, you see Juniper nod, you see Maven kind of thumbs up. Oliver says his piece and kind of, let's go. You see Manny thumbs up and Fenris just nod his head. You see Quincy just kind of a okay, and then you kind of look back and they're gone. And okay.
He'll be a little worried that he saw Quincy this time, but I'll go down the stairs.
Okay. Head down. Once you get to the bottom of the stairs, there is a sealed door. There is a small little crystal next to it, and upon very easy and brief kind of investigation, once you mess with it, the door's open. Inside is a very large chamber. There are, as soon as you step into that archway, 4 braziers in the room that light up with magical light. They look like fire, but with investigation, there's no heat. It's magical fire. It just gives illumination. There are multiple pillars throughout the rim with a vaulted ceiling, hundreds of feet up. You can see there is a clear aisle, like kind of raised walkway going forward to the middle. There's intersections going to each end of the room, and then there are steps in the middle there going next to each kind of like put each quadrant of the room, 4 different quadrants and steps going down to where each of the braziers are. At that intersection where the walkway is, you do see there is a room straight across from you, and there is one to the west and one to the east. As you kind of come in and start moving, the lights kind of raise the ambient light to where it starts off very dim and slowly raises to where the deeper you go, the brighter it gets, but it never becomes uncomfortable. It just kind of someone who's getting used to the dark, to the light. And once you get to the middle of the room, you'll see the room to the west is lit up. The archway, at least, is lit up with a green light. The one in front of you is lit up with a red light, and the one to the east is lit up with a blue light. It is just kind of the ambient light. It's more of description for me to know where you're going, but it is just lights within the arches. It was easier.
Does the door that we came through, does it close behind us, or does it have the...
Stays open. It does have
Can
a
we?
crystal on the other side.
Okay.
Yep.
Juno's, I'm going to close it behind us.
Okay. Yep.
Just
and
for fun.
It kind of like hits about halfway, and you see it stop for just a second, and then and finish. It's old.
Are there any other indicators that would help us distinguish what each door was or what it led to?
There are symbols above each archway. Yes.
Sitzy, what is this place? Just yelling it out.
Roll me a religion check, just for fun.
Oddly enough, not my worst roll all day. 8.
8. Nothing. Yeah.
Just for Viet or?
Yeah, that was just for Viet, for just
Okay.
what he, yeah. So there are just runic symbols above each door.
Would this be
but
considered
nothing you
written
can make
language?
out. Not really.
Yeah,
It's more
just
symbolic, kind of.
Worm has a passive investigation at 21, so you can just tell us everything right now.
I think I missed that that feat.
Oh my goodness. Let's see here. The room with the red light.
Okay, that would be straight across from you.
Perfect. What does the rune above that door look like?
It's a rune. I guess I didn't give it
Oh.
as much. It had a meaning that if you figured out, I guess I didn't do the job of making the rune.
I'm okay.
sorry.
I guess I'll instead of saying, well, can I guess investigate it and see if I can divine a meaning from it? That was my in-game way of saying it.
Okay. Yeah. Roll investigation or history, your choice.
Let's see here. We're gonna roll history. 13.
No, nothing that's coming to mind. Like I said, this isn't so much a language as like the equivalent of seeing symbols,
Right.
like hieroglyphs,
Yeah.
or like things like that, where it's like, oh, that looks like a dog person with it's like the meaning of what that would mean to that civilization is meaning different
Yeah.
from what it would mean to you.
However, do you have any notes on the ruins of this civilization? Like,
Yes, you had many books. What does this say?
I have limitless notes.
Yeah, we'll pull out one of the
many
random,
civilizations.
a random book out of the bag and hand it to Ulrich.
Oh, thank you, Viet. So Worm is probing his experience with any of the things he might have learned to help him figure this stuff out.
Give me a history check with advantage. Like,
Okay.
let's just see. I'll give you a good shot. It's a high DC though.
High DC. Oh, wow. And 27 with advantage.
Okay.
My first roll was a nat 1,
Okay.
which still would have been a 12.
The symbol that you kind of using from the books, and some of them that have like little footnotes or literally maybe even doodles that somebody did with
Oh, yeah, totally.
references to it in the books of like, this is a sign of aggression, of of being on attack.
Well, just putting together a lot of context clues here. The red light beyond and the menacing look of this rune. It's a sign of aggression, which could mean anything from it will try to tickle you till you pee your pants, or you'll die on the other side.
So this is the angry door.
I like that. I like that term very much.
Angry door.
Yes, angry door. But we don't exactly have clues as to what that actually means. It could be
Maybe-
good,
maybe
because
look
if you
at-
need if you need angry to get something done, maybe
Right,
it's
it could be
beyond this
weapons or
portal.
something.
Bit will kind of start nudging Worm to go to one of the other doors.
Yes. So I like this whole color scheme. Honestly, I don't know what to make of it, but if red means stop, green usually means go. Blue? What does blue mean?
Now's the
Usually it
time?
means
Viet
I
will
mean,
again
you're the one
scratches
with the note.
scratch his nose with his blue hand.
yes.
Maybe we not do the blue door.
No, no blue door. I was
I say
totally
green
leaning
door.
towards the blue door.
I think we should go through the green door because I could use me some new house plants. So I'm ready to go. Some ancient house plants. And I bet I could catch a bug for my spider because now I feel guilty that I haven't been feeding it.
Okay, so Maven indicates she wants to go to the green door. Oliver will help as much as he can trying to figure out what the rune above the green door is.
All right. Just with that 27, the ruin above that one going through your notes, you start to get the reference of like open-mindedness, communication, diplomacy, like things of that nature.
This rune is a rune indicating the soft skills of state and court, such as
Just
open-mindedness, communication.
just a reminder, this is a prototypical armory. So these are inventions, magical things that are, yeah. Just a reminder, this isn't like a UN building, you know? Just wanted to give you the right context.
I'm doing the best with what I've got.
I get it. No, I was just trying to help you. Help me help you.
Can we glean any meaning from the blue, the rune above the blue?
Same thing. With his notes and understanding, you'll get the idea of knowledge, intuition, training, things like that.
Knowledge, intuition, and training, stuff like that. That is the best I can do.
Are we opening up green door or blue door or angry door?
They're all open. They're arches.
Oh.
Yep.
June's
And inside, you can see, like from a distance, you can see there are, like, it's not a huge room inside each of those rooms, and there is kind of central, like, table with things in the room. But
yeah, we'll take his blue hand with the hammer and just kind of reach it through the archway.
Which one? Which one are you going to?
The green archway.
Oh, yeah, nothing happens. Other than you have a, what does green and blue make? Yellow
or brown?
Or brown?
No,
Oh, yeah.
just brown,
just
Greenish blue.
He'll be distracted by that for a second.
Yeah.
turquoise. Yeah.
Turquoise. Yeah.
June's gonna go into the blue room.
All right. So June's walking towards the blue room. Viet's at the green room.
He's in the green room.
I think any hint of knowledge, intuition, training, that kind of thing, that really appeals to Oliver. So he'd happily stride alongside June into the blue room.
Okay.
Maven's totally
And
going
Maven?
angry. Oh, no.
I'm going in the green room.
Green room. So Viet and Maven and Oliver and Juniper. Perfect. All right. So, let's just go with Oliver and Juniper. You walk in to the, like I said, it's just the archway has a bluish light to it as you walk through. There's normal lighting on the inside. It's not a huge room, about a 30 by 30 room. It is all stone, beautifully carved, very dwarven craftsmanship to this room. Not that any of you realize that. But just for the players, you understand what it looks like. There is an altar in the middle of the room that has it almost looks like one of those 70s kind of glass like decanters, just oversized. And it is in that greenish glass look. And it has different little baubles and such on the sides of it, going all the way around it. Then there is also a stone box sitting on one little table. And these are all like stone kind of dais, more pedestal tables. And then on the last one, there is what looks to be a weird, like, it looks like a circlet made of metal and stone with like a thread of almost like crystal going through it.
Man, I
these
wish I was
items
in there.
marked with anything?
They are not. There is inscriptions on the bottom of like the pedestal right below it going across.
What does the inscription by the circlet say?
What languages do you speak or read?
Not many. Celestial, Common, Draconic, and Sylvan.
Scrigglies.
Oliver knows Celestial, Common, Draconic, Dwarvish, Elvish, Giant, Gnomish, Infernal, Thieves' Cant. And if none of that works, he can comprehend languages.
We'll take that, like some of, like, ironically, like with your mixed languages, you're like, oh, that almost looks like Dwarvish, but it also almost looks like Gnomish, but it also almost looks like Elvish, or like it's like this weird combination of multiple languages. And using comprehend language as a ritual, I'm guessing.
Yes.
You take the time. Yeah, it's a weird, even with the spell up for your reference of language compared to this, it almost feels like every now and then where you're like getting dyslexic and like the letters are moving in a way that your brain's like, ah, you know? So which one are you looking at specifically?
So Juniper was drawn to the circlet. I think Oliver would help out right away with that one too.
Okay. So the circlet. So the inscription
So happy I'm
reads,
scared.
circlet, or this circlet of knowledge. Underneath, it reads, given time, given focus, we can teach you any skill. Untested, side effects, unknown.
I mean, they did say experimental.
Yes.
Is this how June learns how to use a sword?
I mean,
a sixth style.
technically, it can give you any skill, proficiency, whatever. Like implications would lead you to believe like it can download something into you, but there's an unknown factor to it that you don't know.
You forget everything else.
Mm.
You're right.
just
You
Jason
can only
Bourne.
do one thing.
Whoa. Oh, that'd be fascinating.
Holy crap, it's Jason Bourne.
So for Oliver, the appeal of limitless skillfulness and knowledge is very compelling. However, he's also a little bit full of himself and thinks he already has all the skills he needs.
There.
I'm gonna gingerly touch it, like I'm gonna poke it. I'm scared. I'm so scared. This is gonna fall on me.
Weirdly enough, You know how it's like it's clearly made of like a metal and stone with crystal inlay.
Mm.
It feels like leather.
Mm. Oh, I hate that.
And it's actually like you poke it and there's like the slightest flex to it. Like
Mm.
So
Oliver, while your comprehend language is up, are you doing anything else while Juniper kind of distrustfully pokes Circlet?
I think at this point, I mean, it'll stay up for a bit, but while Juniper's investigating it, he would be there to help. So have the help action ready.
Okay. Juniper, is there anything you want to do while you are looking at this?
With the pearl. Oh, I'm not there. And I don't know what the pearl does. Sorry. Never mind.
Oh, I could
Gosh.
test the pearl on this.
I will tell you all out of character. This is 100% a prototypical thing. It will tell you that what it can do, but there are unknown side effects because it is not a refined creation.
Okay.
Well, so much for the pearl.
I'm saving you a charge.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
What do you think, Oliver? I've never been too much of a risk taker.
Well, we can always bring it with, and if we need to take a gamble and have an ace in our pocket, maybe it'll come in handy.
Yeah, I'll kind of gingerly pick it up and put it in my pack. Like I'm not going to put it on. I do want to bring it with me, but I want to look at it a little bit more, and I don't think right now is the
former
time.
name that you can add to your pack is Circlet of Attuned Knowledge.
Cool. What else is in this room?
I told you.
You said
There
were
is the
bottles.
cool kind of device made of glass and stone with gems along the outside of it. Has that kind of decanter look. It's oversized. And then there's also the stone box or tome look to it.
Yeah.
Like as June's putting the circlet away, Oliver would be drawn to the decanter altar thing with the baubles along it.
Okay.
Uh,
Roll me like you already got that going, but just for the sake of understanding and all that, just roll me a really quick arcana because it's going to be needed for this particular thing.
11.
11. That's not horrible, especially with where you are and what you're looking at. It is a vessel of communication. Each of the gems can be imbued or requested to have a piece of essence either imbued or requested put into them so that you can communicate with that person willingly or unwillingly, subconsciously, and have it like, think of it like a stone of sending, except you can talk to someone unwilling and it's a subconscious conversation. It is highly experimental. It dives into sending and scrying. And so the implications is that you can talk to anyone, friend or foe, without their knowledge, get information that they would not tell the normal person or totally tell the normal person from the safety of wherever you're at. But there have been complications, and this is the warning side effects kind of part where it's like dimensional rifts and interplanar teleportation has occurred.
Oh.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Is there any indication about how these things are imbued with such power?
Basically, there is a very basic inscription of touch stone, speak the person or creature that you are looking, like, if they're willing, they can imbue. If you are the person who is requesting, and then there's a check and all the stuff that other happens, but basically you can take a piece of them and bring it here, or they can willingly touch and make it part of this.
Huh.
Wow.
I'll share that knowledge and write some notes about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I see any application for this. What do you think, Juniper?
Oh, I absolutely see application for this, but dimensional rifts, interplanar teleportation. I don't know if it's worth the risk.
It's from what I've heard about your crew, that's just another Tuesday.
Right?
Let's
make a black hole.
I don't know about that one.
Well, I've jotted down some notes, and we'll confer with the others and see if there's any inkling on taking it. Is it like, could we even just take it, or is this thing big?
It's big. It wouldn't fit in a bag of holding. It's big enough that you'd have to carry it on you, and it does look fragile.
And there's also that.
Maybe some of you could figure out some way to get into the dragons' heads and make them make a misstep or something. Just throwing ideas out. I don't know.
That's definitely something I thought about, but there's got to be consequences to that.
Indeed. Is there any indication about what is meant by refinement that's needed?
Nope. The implication is you would understand what that means.
Gotcha.
But snobbish, aren't they?
You don't know. Okay, so check out the box.
All right.
It's in the box.
It's in the box. So as you look over that, you will get the understanding of it is the prototype of a journal of wish.
Journal of wish.
Basically, mechanically speaking, it is a prototype. It is imbued with that's why it's sealed in this box. And investigating, it is the equivalent of like a lead-lined box against magic. The journal, anything that is like the intention is anything that is written into this journal can or will come true. Unforeseen, like side effect, unforeseen consequences, universal alterations.
I mean,
butterfly effect, things like that, like where it's like, and they couldn't predict the kind of outcome of like, that's the warning of like, so we haven't dialed it in to where it's,
I mean, that sounds like an obscene amount of power.
Right. It either goes your way or it doesn't go your way. And usually with all the fables about wishes, neither one of those are good.
Yeah.
So as you two are mulling this over,
yeah.
over to the green room.
The green room.
Maven, Viet, you enter the room. It is very similar setup. There's a few kind of pedestal stone tables, one of which has a small black little like black to the point where like it has that kind of almost like emerald green in the light as it catches it, but it's black. Little leather pouch sitting on a raised little pedestal, holding it perfectly with holding the strings and holding it suspended. There's another table that has what looks to be 3 like pine cones. And they are sitting with a glass vase like over each, or glass, jar or whatever over top of each of them. And they are floating in midair with a little pedestal beneath it, but it's floating, spinning very slowly, touching nothing. And then the last one has a very weird looking contraption. And just for reference for everyone, I will describe this still. But it has a nope, won't let me without effort, so I'm not gonna worry about it. A contraption that it looks like a very fantasy steampunk blunderbuss. How about that?
Sweet.
And next to it, I mean, there are these 4 crystals. One looks like a diamond, one looks like a ruby, one looks like a sapphire, and one looks like an emerald. And they look like they are perfectly made, and like where you can see this blunderbuss has kind of like shotgun, like the
Breach.
side by side, has that breech opening. It looks like it perfectly would fit inside.
This is amazing.
Is there descriptions on these as well?
There are ruins and things like that, yes.
I'm gonna go for the pine cones.
Can Viet read the language that this is in?
What languages?
Are they runes or?
It is a written language.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, Viet knows. Let's see. Languages. Crap. Where do I find my languages?
Proficiencies, probably. Whatever page that's on.
Well, for
Dwarvish is probably one of them.
Common. I think he speaks common.
Yep,
Where's
common.
God dang it! Where's the?
Are you on Beyond?
Yeah. Where do I find it on Beyond?
It's on the side of the page under where your passive wisdom and yep.
I'm gonna. Sorry, on the side of the page.
Yeah, underneath where your passive.
Oh, there on the left. Okay.
Yeah.
So Viet knows Abyssal, Common, Dwarvish, Gnomish, Goblin, Infernal, and Undercommon, but Viet also has this weird thing from his time in the underground. If you remember, Scott, Eyes of the Runekeeper, where he can read all writing.
Oh, I forgot about
that's
that.
right.
I forgot about
But
that.
he doesn't know.
Viet so
He doesn't know
learned?
that.
He doesn't know that. So
He
as
just
you're
assumes everybody can
looking at
read
it, you're not sure. And then all of a sudden, like stepping next to you, almost like he was with you the whole time, you see Quincy just walk past you. He's like, no, look again. It's right here. Look. See what it says? And you'll all of a sudden start to be able to read everything. Which one are you looking at first?
The first one, the black bag.
Black bag. All right.
So
Acorns.
Maven will see Viet studying the like scanning, like he's actually reading this gibberish on the pedestal.
Yeah, I'm gonna come over to Viet and watch the process.
Yeah.
He may be mumbling as he's sounding through it.
Maven, roll me a religion check real quick. Just for the fact
You said
of
religion?
everything. Yeah.
Okay. 2 + 2 is 4.
Very good.
You're watching the process.
Mhm.
And Viet starts to read off the first one. Seeds of the maiden's tree.
Ooh.
Oh.
Imbued with magic stored, can grow another tree of the maiden and 2 seeds.
Oh.
Yeah, I want that.
So that is what you get, Viet. How much of that you communicate out loud is up to you.
You'd mumble most of it. This is tree, like for little girl's tree. These are seeds for little girl's tree.
Like Sanctuary
Like cypress.
or
Like the
Cypress? Yeah. I've been playing a lot of Borderlands. Sorry.
Been there.
Very okay. This could be very useful. Do you think
need
we
to
should
be
take
very,
it?
we need to be very careful with these.
Yes. I don't trust anyone else to hold on to them besides you. Could you keep them safe?
You're good with plants, though.
True.
They're special. You will have to. I will hold them, but you need to tell me how to take care of them special.
I can do that. Keep them away from the dirt is number 1.
That is good advice. Viet will reach out, take the bag out. He's gonna peek. He wants to see what these seeds look like.
Yeah, they look like. Imagine like a full-grown, like that kind of symbol of like that tree, the wisdom tree of life. Imagine roots that look like that encapsulated in amber.
Oh. That's so freaking cool.
Viet is impressed, and he'll cinch that up very carefully. And he's gonna.
And they're about the size of like a walnuts, like
Walnut.
acorn. Yeah.
He will put that in his pouch with the other things that he keeps carefully.
Okay.
All right. The pine cones.
Yeah, I'm very interested in these.
Pine cones. All right. So you get. I'm gonna skip just for the time all the other stuff. Basically, you're going to surmise that these are nature's grenades.
Yes.
Are these those?
These can be thrown if you remove the top, pine cone, thrown, and they should basically do a fireball, except it's all piercing damage.
Oh my god. There's a real tree like that, isn't there?
Oh, yes, there is. Note.
Yes.
True range is unknown.
Oh God.
Depends on environment for the amount of range that it does.
Oh god.
Okay.
Viet will say, "It is good thing Callan is not here," and he'll explain.
Ow!
I think I win D&D now.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, ow!
Yay!
Oh, ow!
I win D&D. Just for curiosity's sake.
Oh.
You don't have to name brand names, but what did you just squirt out of your nose?
Almost squirted out cherry
Non-branded.
limeade.
Cherry.
We'd get a lot of prototype testing done.
That hurt a little bit. Well done.
I'll take the pine cones and strap them to my little
Your
holster.
moss.
I'm gonna.
Like, tuck them in.
Yeah.
They
Oh
got
yeah. The second you put them up towards your cloak, like roots, almost like moss
Love
roots, just grab onto it.
Oh,
now we
that's
got a
amazing.
pine cone grenade. What's
Yeah.
that?
One on each
Bandolier.
shoulder and one that's like the clasp.
Oh my god, that's amazing. I love that so much.
You look now. You're starting to look like Schwarzenegger in Commando.
Yeah, I have a lot of weapons. Next time you see me, there's gonna be dirt smeared under my eyes.
The big knife, bandolier grenades.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's
yeah.
got her Dragon Bane knives. Yes.
I'm gonna grab the blunderbuss from you guys. It's just gonna be crazy.
Put
All
some
right,
put some
speaking
makeup
of-
on and
Speaking of which, you look at that very quickly. You read over that. Boomstick.
Oh yeah,
call that.
you did.
Oh yeah.
That's
yes.
for a comment on our TikTok following, by the way. This is a comment created thing.
Oh my
Boomstick.
goodness.
It does the equivalent of a conjure elemental / fireball spell.
Oh my god.
To make it simple. Note, due to the elemental factor in this, the range is that of mortar between 0 to 100 feet. Accuracy, skeptical.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
So
This appears to be, I would say this is probably Viet's unknown range, unknown damage,
yeah.
skeptical results.
Oh.
I
This is being my wheelhouse.
mm-hmm. I want to reach out to Sindri really quick
Oh, sure. Roll
and
me an
ask him
Arcana
about
check real
this
quick.
Arcana.
Yeah, just for me.
Cool. Yeah, you got it. 21.
Perfect. What are you asking?
I want to ask him if he knows anything about this gun, blunderbuss, whatever,
So as
and
you
the element,
kind of,
specifically the elemental bullets.
yeah. So as you kind of reach out and think about this, Viet, what are you doing as you guys kind of get to that and you're reading the inscriptions, which is more, better than I put it. Just reading and keeping your distance, or is that an interest thing to you?
No, that was an interesting of Viet. This sounds
Okay,
like
so
right
you
up
start
his...
to get, closer to it and really starting to look into each of the different gems. All of a sudden, as you kind of close your eyes and focus, like, Sentry, I could use a little help here. Like, what do you know? As you open your eyes and look up, you'll see Sentry, like, laying across the pedestal with the blunderbuss in front of him. And he's like, oh, hi. It's a beautiful little thing. Don't you feel the energy from these crystals? And he'll kind of like touch each one. He's like, oh, they're alive. Doesn't it make you feel all tingly when you think about it?
Well, maybe not as much as it makes you feel, but I
Oh, they're part of creation. They're part of the fundamental things that keep all things together and make all things break apart.
yeah.
What are you thinking? What are you wondering?
Okay. What is the best way to use this weapon?
Oh, 100% not to use it. But also at the same time, I feel like if you used one of these, like, and I'll be honest, I don't know what this thing does, but I know what's inside these. Those are, kind of creatures of their respective elements.
Mm.
And if, from what you gathered, from the like kind of dibbity doos down there, the chicken scratch, and this thing and those things. And if you're trying to weaponize them, oh my lord, I would not want to be anywhere between the barrel and wherever that thing is.
Okay. Okay.
Though I also want to be within the sight of whatever it does, because this could be the most beautiful or horrible thing I've ever thought of.
Are these crystals one-time use?
Kind of looks at it and looks at the device. I'm going to roll for him because this is outside of his wheelhouse. Not too sure, but from the looks of it, I wouldn't count on it being like a multi-use thing.
Okay.
I can't be sure. It could be. But I feel like with the way, and he kind of points towards like the lever, the hammer on it. He's like, I feel like this breaks that crystal and sends it down that way.
Okay. Good. I will. I've been staring directly at this gun and not moving.
Yeah.
While
sure.
I'm trying to quietly talk to Sindri.
No, yeah, I get it. Yeah. Roll me a performance.
Who are you being
as
talking
you're
to,
saying.
Evan?
Yeah, because you're
13.
13. Yeah, just enough that every now and then you might have like been talking in your head, and then every now and then, because of the things he says, you say something out loud. And as you're like, okay, I gotta keep this shit together. And also Viet's like, what are you talking, who are you talking to? And then he's like, have you looked at the barrel on this? The trajectory on this is unknown. It could go literally at your feet or like 100 yards down range.
If you're conjuring, and she's looking at Viet while she says this to try to make it seem normal. If you're conjuring an elemental, I guess it doesn't matter how far away it is from you.
Oh, it matters if you don't want the elemental to kill you.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Elementals do not like mortals. I'll tell you this firsthand. They're kind of
Viet
like
would tentatively pat the barrel like, he seems like good last resort weapon, yes?
as you're doing that, Maven, you see him slapping back at his hand, being like, don't touch that. You don't know what it'll do. Are you stupid?
I like immediately grab Viet's hand. And I'm like,
it is not being loaded. I don't think. I think you put these things in those two tube thingies there.
Yep.
All right, you should totally do that.
I think there's that lever thing. It looks like.
Let's see what it does.
Hey Viet, how about this? I'll hold on to the crystals, and you hold on to the gun.
Right when he goes to sleep, we'll put one in.
No, we're not.
Shh, he doesn't have to know.
No, he's gonna know.
Know what, Maven Corpse Flower, Amanita, Lady of the Dead Woods and the Thorns?
Why do you have so many titles?
Shut up. You ever feel like you've got other voices going on in your head, Viet?
What is she talking about, Viet? That's crazy talk.
I know. I don't know what she's talking about.
Oh my gosh.
I
think she's losing it, Manny.
Ever since we got here, I just have heard.
We think Viet will pick up the gun at least, or the contraption thing, and at least keep it away. Like he'll kind of hold it away from Maven a little bit.
She's crazy.
Maybe I should be holding the crystals too in my pouch.
Okay, just one second, and yeah, well, she pulls off some fabric from the bottom of her cloak, not the grass one, of course, and ties a little satchel for those crystals.
Okay,
that is good thinking.
And she just holds it out like, okay, take it. Fine.
Stick it in the pouch that he keeps careful.
Oh, that's disappointing.
I'll get him when he's asleep.
That's a girl.
Sentry hasn't seen someone try to wake up Viet out of its sleep.
Paranoid, ain't he?
Probably vastly entertained either way.
Mm-hmm. I almost
right.
can imagine Viet weaving these into his beard,
Oh my gosh.
right?
Huh.
Just so he has them when he needs them.
And
I
in
don't
an
know, that's what I
emergency, he
thought.
just puts his beard into the. So about that time, you both groups start to come out of their respective rooms, and in the middle of that intersection, about 30 feet from each of you, so 60 feet to the total, or probably a little more, but still, you get it. That intersection, light illuminates, and you see the archive. Ah, I see you have found items. Is a test required?
We all
Oh,
look confused.
you
Test
can
of-
test
the
these
testing of
for
what?
us?
Yes.
Absolutely. This entire room has been fortified and created to test all items here for prototypical design.
Yes. Then
Yes. We would love for the testing to be refined.
But is it for protecting us or for protecting the city?
Absolutely. I am happy to oblige. All of a sudden, the illusion will disappear. All of the doors will seal. The lights will illuminate brighter. From the ceiling, a sliding door will open. And from the ceiling, dropping down, you are going to see a clockwork dragon.
oh
Land, roar, fire spit out of its mouth, wings furl open. Danger room activated.
Oh, no.
Danger room! Why did it have to be a danger room?
And you didn't go to the red room. That had-
we did that.
So, and you said yes. You
I
said
did.
yes.
I did.
So, next time on Down with Dragons, Danger Room.
Getting down with a dragon.
Getting down with a
Clockwork
clockwork
dragon. I love this so much.
dragon. So, until next time, where we fight a dragon or robot dragon. I am DM Scott, with me as always.
Confused.
Why did it have to be a danger room? We could probably use some of the aggression.
Oh my god. Oh, I'm Killian. Sorry. Sorry.
And I'm Mick, regretting not going into the red room now.
Chris,
And Catherine.
Thank you all for joining us. Join us next week at 7 o'clock Central Time for the next episode of Down with
Ooh.
Dragons. Have a
Whoa.
great week.
close.
See you then. Yeah, it was
Bye-bye.
close. We get another one.
Goodbye.